Hello, I'm Ben from Mayku, and today we're going to be showing you through the new 1.4 firmware for the Mayku Multiplier. It's got some really cool features, and we're going to show you how to get it uploaded to your machine now. So to begin, we're just going to press the menu button. I'm going to go down to firmware and then check for updates. And if your machine hasn't been updated and is connected to the internet, it'll update your firmware and you'll be ready to go straight away. We've got 3 new engineering materials that we've now launched with pre-set profiles that are going to be on the machine as soon as you've updated your firmware. First of those is our 4mm black ABS. Super impact resistant, nice and opaque, and good for bonding to other materials. Our PMMA, completely clear, 3mm UV resistant. And our UHMW, so 3mm, incredibly tough and strong and non-stick as well. Really nice stuff. So we're going to pop in a sheet of our black ABS today because we're forming quite a large electronics casing. Our firmware is now up to date. I'm going to click here to begin. ABS, 4mm. Going to place that in. Bring the lid down. Also, one thing for any sort of thicker materials, you might just want to add a little bit of pressure just to the top of this, and it'll make that a lot easier to turn. Bring that up. You can hear the compressors going now. Now, one of the things that we've done with the new 1.4 firmware is change our standard material heating times to advanced heating times. So we used to predict the temperature rate rise of a material, and now what we do is actually we follow the curve on a per second basis of the exact temperature rate rise of each material. And what that means is we can keep that material completely level, and that will give us a much greater success rate when we're actually using these new advanced engineering materials. And so one feature that we've got in there as well for making sure that you can do larger parts, like this one, for example. If you just come here, you'll see these 2 little arrows up and down. And what they're going to do, if I push this one, I'm going to push this one to +3. What that's going to do is start to draw the material up by removing air from the dome itself, and bringing that material slightly more higher, closer to the heaters, so that when we're sensing that temperature, we know that it's going to be closer to the heaters. We can understand, the machine can now predict where that material is exactly, and that's going to make it a lot easier as well for us to close the dome over larger objects like this one, because the material is going to be like this over it, which means we're pushing less air out in order to form ovens. So I'm going to pop this one in, like that, and then we've pressed our +3, and so this material is going to start to arc up further, and then we'll be able to close that dome faster once it's done. And so that's the up and down arrows. You want to do that as early on as you can when you put the form in, to choose up to +5 to get that machine to understand that you're doing the large form from the very outset. And we're going to just wait a little second for this to go, and we'll be back in 1 sec to form. Alright, so we're at 97% right now, so we're very close to our forming time. And if you just come in here, you might not be able to see it perfectly on the camera, but you can see how this dome is starting to form in the material itself. So that is slightly more concave, so there's less air in that dome. Should make this easier to form. So 99% now, ready to go. And then close that lid. Release all of our air. Don't know why I did that bit, but there you go. And now all of that air is going into our chamber. And as you saw, I sort of push this down pretty roughly. Like, it's a pretty robust machine. You can be, you know, you can put a bit of pressure on here. If you leave it for just like a microsecond when you pull this down, this will be a lot easier to pull across as well. And so, yeah, when you the sort of timing in between pulling this across and pressing that button will designate how good your form is as well. All right, so now our part is finished cooling. So we're gonna open this, lift the lid up. There you go. Okay. Oh. So now, if we want to form again, one other thing that we've added for the advanced materials is this cooling period screen that you see here. And basically what this is to make sure that the dome stays at a cool enough temperature to be forming these more higher spec materials like UHW, ABS and PMMA. They require a lot larger amount of heat in the machine. And so what the machine now knows is what temperature the dome needs to get down to in order to form again and not overheat the machine. So we've got this little cooling screen here. It's saying 34 minutes to get to 35 degrees C. If you pop a couple of little fans here directly aimed at the dome, that's going to come down to like 2 or 3 minutes. So to really reduce your cycle times with those engineering materials, just pop a little fan on and it will make sure that you can increase your cycle times and get those cooling periods down and just consistently use the machine as much as you really need to. So that's about everything for firmware 1.4. As always, if you've got any questions, feel free to reach out to Mayku across our socials or email. Thank you very much and good luck with your machine.